What is up, guys? Eric here from EBM Productions here with another video. There's so many videos that we can go over. Many topics, etc. But the one that I'm gonna talk about today is something that people wouldn't have talked about and are not gonna talk about post the results of the Khamzat versus Dricus Du Plessis fight. Now, again, first off, I need to mention something. Cristiano Ronaldo apparently liked one of Khamzat Chimeav's pictures or something. The news just went off about that. Woo! A celebrity likes this guy. Cool. I was always under the impression these guys are like the MMA fighters these days. The UFC champions specifically are like superstars. Like we've seen them collab with stars, etc. It's not like this is new to me. So to me, it's not that crazy or exciting. Just not that interested in celebs, and not that much interested in certain other sports like soccer, aka football. I would much rather be focused on American football than soccer. Just me personally. Everybody else, you guys can love it, go crazy. I understand. Anyway, on to the full topic of this video. And that is actually how the loss versus Khamzat Chimeav for Dricus Du Plessis changed his legacy completely. People do not even grasp how deep this is. Because if Dricus beat Khamzat late in the fight via submission, which was something I had an argument with somebody about before the fight happened, because people were going on like it's absolutely not possible when it actually almost happened twice or three times. Sorry guys, my nose is running for some odd reason. And also a great example of a striker submitting a grappler, a very good grappler in recent times, was Yuri Prohaska submitting Glover Teixeira. Now, another version of this, which is why the legacy part comes in, is Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen. So everybody says technically this was the hardest fight for Anderson Silva and also his most hard-fought win, and one of the cementing reasons for his legacy, because some very hard-skilled opponent almost beat him, and he caught this guy in the end, and he is the striker. So Dricus is an all-rounder. He's not really just a striker. Like most of these champions these days are not really one-way oriented most of the time. And to me, Dricus is a very well-rounded guy. That's why I actually did decently well at getting away from Khamzat. It's just Khamzat controlled him with the body lock from behind very well. The crucifix on the ground and getting to the crucifix was very good. He improved. Those few things sound like small stuff to get over, but it isn't. But anyway, the point is, Dricus is not just a ground fighter. He is not just a striker. He's not a guy that stays on the feet the whole time. He just leans a bit towards staying on the feet. And I do believe that is because of his gas tank. He knew that wrestling saps your energy a lot more when you mix it with striking. So staying on the feet is a little bit better on your gas tank. So if Dricus submitted Khamzat Chimeav late in the fight, like let's imagine in a crazy different kind of universe, the fight went mostly the same up until, say, late second round. Late second round, Dricus rocks him. And third round, he piles on the pressure, but Khamzat comes back, puts his own pressure on, and he wins that round dominantly. So now it's, essentially 2-1, going into the fourth. Boom. The fight seems similar, but next moment, Dricus rocks Khamzat bad on the feet after he got up. If he got up. Again, very hypothetical situation, but anyway. And boom, he rocks him. He goes down to the ground and he submits Khamzat Chimeav. Imagine, due to his resume, how big of an impact this would have been. Like, it would be exactly what it was for Anderson Silva way back, it would have done the same thing. Everybody would have been like, oh yes, so the route to beating him is wrestling, or this level of wrestling, like that level of wrestling, sorry. However, who's going to be like that in the division? That's what they would say. And obviously we already know there is contenders that can wrestle like that. But the point is, everybody would have known it would have been a similar trajectory as Anderson Silva. And his name is still, till this day, the top dog at middleweight. I know a lot of people will be like, Izzy. I personally would have put Izzy on a technical level above Silva, but I'm not denying the crazy impact, the buzz behind Silva and his legacy. And it still sits there. Like, there's a difference between how he won and how Izzy won and how other fighters won. Like, Izzy soundly beat his opponents. He didn't just make them look like they are slowpokes, like they can't strike. He made people look like how Izzy made Paulo Costa look in their fight. Well, possibly their first fight, because they're probably going to rematch. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't want that rematch really, but oh well. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. If Dricus beat Khamzat, he would have beaten Khamzat, Israel Adesanya, a guy that many people argue, as I say, to be the best. Robert Whittaker, another guy that people argue for a long time as he might be the greatest middleweight. Like, he's building towards that. Derek Brunson. Who else? Jeez. Darren Till, another guy that was a very high-level contender. Sean Strickland, the guy that beat a guy that was that good in Izzy Adesanya. It's crazy, and well, we all know the rest of his resume, but you get the point. He beat some insane names. He won titles at welterweight, at middleweight, in 3 different organizations, if I'm not mistaken, which is very crazy. This is stuff that only Alex Poeton Pereira has achieved, and guys like that, guys who were all on the way to GOAT status, not just GOAT of the division, GOAT status. And we know more. For years, people argued about Anderson Silva versus John Jones as GOATs, or GSP as the GOAT, and then Demetrius Johnson in between. Like, I remember those are the 4 people that mostly got brought up with these debates, and then a few other people in between. And if Dricus beat Khamzat after that resume that I just mentioned, and the way that I mentioned it, it would have been absolutely him being Anderson Silva level status, which is insane to think of, because people would have been like, holy cow, who's going to beat him? He just beat the best guy on the ground. Like, he submitted that guy. People would have gone crazy. Like, the hype for that would have been tenfold what it is now with Khamzat being champion. But unfortunately, we're sitting in, okay, I say it unfortunately in the way of the hype. Would have been a difference of hype. Like, I like futures where the hype is crazy. I love both fighters. I followed Khamzat since 2020. I remember I heard of him before that, though. The interview that people famously plastered everywhere in 2021 and 2020 of Gustafsson mentioning this guy from Sweden that he was training with, and other guys in his fight camp mentioning this guy from Sweden. That's insane. I remember people talking about this guy, making videos about this guy, possibly being like a heavyweight boogeyman way back in 2019, 2018, if I'm not mistaken. That's when I learned about Khamzat, but not by name. I remember at that time I was like, we will see if this guy gets into the UFC, etc. I was afraid back then that this person will fight in different organizations, and obviously because the UFC is the number one, and at that time we didn't have such strong talent in different organizations as we later did, and that means people would have been like, no, he's not really that good, especially with Gustafsson losing around about that time to Jones, to Smith, etc. So you understand, like, that's why I mean the hype is different. Right now, there's a hype of mild level hype until the next fight is announced for Khamzat. With Dricus, people would have been conversating about this, debating about this, making all kinds of videos and stuff like that about this right now. It would have been a different buzz. It's kind of like when Ilia Topuria beat Charles Oliveira. Just the minus the possible fight of Islam that's next. Which, to be honest, guys, I've said it many times. I think Ilia has a chance at beating Islam Makhachev, but I'm still going to pick Islam to beat him. That situation is very similar to how Dricus versus Khamzat ended up being, and very similar to how Sean O'Malley versus Merab ended up happening. That's the scary part about these few fights. They have a lot of hype, they're very cool, etc., but the wrestler has the advantage. They have the advantage by a wide gap. And that is just how things played out. I don't mind it, like in the sense of who won. I'm just minding it for the excitement factor in the middle of the fight. Although to me, I don't know why, Islam Makhachev's fights isn't boring to me at all. Merab's fights, not that boring. Like his previous fights when he was just holding someone against the cage, like with Aldo and kind of with Peter Yan, was boring. But that changed very fast with the Sean O'Malley fight. The first one was very interesting because I was very focused on the technical aspects, yada, yada, yada. And then obviously Sean coming back in the last round by hurting him. Still getting dominated soundly, but you get what I mean. Then the rematch was just crazy because he just ran over Sean O'Malley. Then with Ilia Topuria and the Islam Makhachev conversation right now, people were like, no, Charles Oliveira, it's going to beat him. And then also on top of that, they were like, listen, he's too small. And what if he goes to the ground with Oliveira? And then he dominated Oliveira on the ground outside of not playing with the submission game that he has, which is very smart. Like, I would also not like roll around with somebody that crazy good on the ground. And when I realized they put me in a submission almost, I would also be like, okay, not in round one, not in round two, possibly later in the fight. Cool. But anyway, now the conversation is like crazy on how the Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria fight can go. And then Khamzat versus Dricus was the same thing. And now with Khamzat, it's what are the possibilities? Because he has a killer's row waiting for him already. And then with Dricus, the same thing actually. How's he going to get back? Because Paulo Costa called him out. I was like, no, well, again, Paulo Costa and these guys, I don't like that fight. I really don't. And that's a bad fight for Paulo Costa. Dricus kept up with Izzy on the feet, and Izzy just ran over Costa. Absolutely dog-walked him. How is he going to handle a guy that hits harder, that's just as good on the feet, and can mix up takedowns and do stuff that Izzy doesn't do, and still lands them? So you understand? But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because the cultural and overall significance about this fight is kind of overshadowed by just the who won aspect. I'm going to make a different video on Khamzat soon, and people are going to get really caught off guard by this because this is a topic that nobody's talking about. I like talking about stuff like that because if every other YouTuber or every other person sharing their opinions on MMA is talking about the same thing, I'd like to wiggle my way in between, because it's boring to just talk about, just for example now, oh, Khamzat dominated, you're not allowed to find it boring. Cool, what else? Oh, Khamzat won because of the crucifix. Oh, cool, because I've seen so many videos regarding that. A technical breakdown, and then it's just them talking about, oh, he had the crucifix and the body lock. And I'm like, yes, I saw it. I watched it live. And I saw it with my own eyes. I thought that you're going to tell me about more, and then it's just the same thing. And I'm just like, it's boring. Give me something new, something actually spicy. Although MMA is popping off left and right now, which is cool. We needed this because the beginning of this year was dreadfully dry. See, this reminds me of something else, a dry topic with the women's MMA. women's MMA, people constantly cry about it. When I'm one of the few people that actually enjoyed a lot of women's MMA bouts, and now we heard Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes are going to fight after quite some time. And sadly, I'll tell it to people, that's not that boring to me. And see, a video about why women's MMA used to be a lot different is more interesting than just saying, oh, it's boring, I'm moving on, because I'm guessing people are going to talk about it. I watch some of the YouTubers, MMA YouTubers now, already mention on their live streams that they are happy about it. But anyway, guys, respect to Khamzat Chimeav. I'm really interested in the Ritter fight for him, like really. Also, actually, the Imavov fight, although I don't think Imavov has the weapons for him, but anyway. And then for Dricus, it really just, he can just pull a name out of a hat and then just go after it. Oh, and then, yeah, I see, there's so many topics to talk about. But anyway, guys, cheers.